Okay, in these sessions, let's discuss what does RCEP mean for business. First, we will review ASEAN's free trade agreements. Second, review trade in goods, trade in services and investments. Last, we will conclude with what does RCEP mean for business. ASEAN countries is one of the regions that is very active in engaging bilateral and regional agreements. ASEAN's proportions of trade with its FTA partners is 60% of its total trade. Other East Asian countries are also active in engaging FTAs. By July 2015, the 16 East Asian countries had 69 out of 126 FTAs in effect. In November, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnerships was proposed, and the members of RCEP are the ASEAN 6, China, Japan, Australia, Korea, and New Zealand. And RCEP is currently in the process of the negotiations. Now let's review the use of the existing FTAs. Economic Research Institutes for ASEAN and East Asia, in collaboration with ASEAN Business Advisory Council, conducted a study on the use of FTA by the private sectors in ASEAN in 2013. The total sample is 630 firms. The study findings mentions that the average use of the existing AFTA and ASEAN Plus One FTAs was 21% for exports and 18% for imports. There are two main reasons for relatively low use of existing FTAs. First, small benefits margins of FTAs. Moreover, as tariffs have been getting lower, the number of non-tariff measures is increasing. Second, on the average of 60% of firms across ASEAN countries claim that information of FTAs and how to use them is still perceived to be limited. When looking at trade in goods, 99% of tariffs at the Asia 6-digit levels were eliminated in the ASEAN 6 countries, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand in 2010, and will be eliminated in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam by 2018. As we can see here, most of the existing FTAs have a tariff elimination scheme covering more than 93% at the HS 6-digit level, 93%, except the case of ASEAN India, which has a level of 80%. But the main challenge is that a number of RCEP members, they don't have either bilateral or regional agreements among them. So it is a bit of a challenge for them to set up a threshold for negotiations. Here we measure the openness in services sectors by using Hoffman Index, covering 4 modes in services, 155 sectors. 1 means liberalized, 0 means closed. What the table says is that ASEAN countries are relatively more open to other ASEAN countries, as shown in AFAS 8, with an index of 0.44 compared to that of UNSCTA, ACFTA Package 2, and AKFTA. Australia and New Zealand are relatively more open to ASEAN countries, as shown by an indices of 0.5, while China and Korea are relatively closed. The most important thing in the services sector is not only about the level of commitment of liberalizations. It's more about how the services sector could stimulate trade in goods and services. So RCEP priority integrations should focus on logistics, finance, telecommunications, and business services. Investment. What should we cover in investments? Protections provisions worked well 30 years ago. A study by Berger 2012 covering 23 investor country, 83 developing FDI countries claims that liberalizations provisions play a significant role in attracting FDI, while dispute settlement provisions play only a minor role. As we see here, comparing the existing investments agreement, AKIA or ASEAN Comprehensive Economic Investments Agreement, has covered the most comprehensive pillars of investments, liberalizations, protections, facilitations, and promotions. ASEAN covers manufacturing, agriculture, mining, fisheries, forestries, and business to manufacturing, with an exemption listed in A negative list. ANZ, AC, and AK investments agreement are also in the process to have a negative list. So now let's come back to the main questions. What does RCEP mean for business? For business expansion, RCEP means 50% of the world's population, 30% of its GDP, 29% of its exports, and 28% of imports. But keep in mind, individual East Asian countries is not a giant. But if we stay together as a group, we are indeed an engine of the world economic growth. Based on trade and value-added analysis, even China, the largest, the first or the second largest exporter in the world, rallies with Germany, contributes only $3 to $5 out of $300 output. China imports largely electronic integrated circuits or chips, largely from Korea, and processors from Malaysia. Thailand, the largest auto exporters among East Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries. Thailand imports steel from Japan, compressors from Indonesia, diesel filter from Cambodia, and airbag from the Philippines. So we can see how much that we are connected to each other. Asia accounts for more than 50% of the world automobile productions, 62% of liquid display screen, 86% of smartphones, and 100% of digital camera. Much of these productions is based in production networks. Many countries are engaged directly or indirectly in producing final goods. With the existing FTAs, businesses operating in ASEAN could use ASEAN-China FTA when they are trading with China. Or they can use ASEAN-India FTA if they are trading with India. But they cannot enjoy preferential tariff rate when they use imported inputs from China, producing the products in ASEAN and want to export the product to India or other RCEP member countries. RCEP enables businesses operating in one member country to enjoy regional cumulations of RCEP members. For example, businesses operating in ASEAN could use imported input from China, produce the goods in ASEAN, and export them to India, Australia, Japan, or Korea, and they could enjoy preferential tariff rates by using regional accumulations of RCEP member. So this is a huge opportunity for business and investment expansions in the regions. Now, let's conclude the sessions. This is the role of the private sectors, businesses. You are born to complain. You have the complaining spirits in your DNA. Now let's put your complaints into constructive pressures to the 16 countries so that they can produce good results in the RCEPs. First, trading goods. Set a motivated level of tariff eliminations with simplified rules of origins. And the most important thing is to improve non-tariff measures. It is not eliminations. Non-tariff measures can be good for economy. It can be good to protect consumers, for your health, for safety, for environment. The point is to improve transparency of NTM. There's no point of talking about tariff eliminations without a significant improvement in transparency of non-tariff measures. Second, in trade in services, it should focus on how the services sector could stimulate trade in goods and investments. So the RCEP priority integrations for the services will focus on logistics, finance, telecommunications, and business services. Investments, adopt the 4 pillars of investments, which are protections, liberalizations, facilitations, and promotions. And the most important is improve clarity in investments procedures. That's very important for business expansions. There's no use to have investments agreement without a clear agenda on improving investments procedures in each country of the 16 countries. We have the panelists here who are the experts of the RCEPs. So if you have a difficult questions, you can give it to them while the easy one can go to me. Thank you.